I'm 13 News Now meteorologist Evan Stewart. Is Wednesday, July 3rd, and of course all eyes in the tropics are on Hurricane Beryl, which continues here, moving through the Caribbean. The good news is the rest of the tropics are fairly quiet, and they look to be quiet once we get through the next several days. But our big focus again is here on Hurricane Beryl, which is just pummeling the island of Jamaica right now. The actual center of the storm passing just south of the island, but Jamaica right now on the right side, the dirty side of the storm. That's the part of the storm that has some of the strongest winds because you have to factor in that forward motion with the storm. So power outages, dealing with gusty winds and very, very heavy rain and some dangerous surf conditions there, and that dangerous storm surge on the island of Jamaica with the Caymen Islands next in line. That's where we have hurricane warnings up. Also have hurricane warnings up for the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico. It includes parts of Cozumel and Cancun, and that's likely the next landfall location for this massive storm. Still a major hurricane with winds of 140 miles per hour, moving to the west-northwest at 20. It is encountering some wind shear, so we are going to see a little bit of weakening over the next couple of days as it makes its way towards the Yucatan, but still a Category 2 hurricane likely making landfall across the Yucatan. Once it goes over land, it loses its fuel source. That's the warm waters. Has to be over 80 degrees, and some of these water temperatures here are into the mid-80s, about 5 degrees warmer than average. So that's what fueled that rapid development with the storm. And then once it moves back into the Gulf of Mexico, the waters there are warm, likely looking at some re-strengthening back into a hurricane as we head towards Sunday. The big question comes in, where does it go once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico? If it's a little bit stronger, it might make more of a turn to the north. If it's a little weaker, it might continue off towards the west. It really depends on a lot of factors, how much it weakens as it encounters that wind shear here over the next few days, or weakens as it crosses over the Yucatan Peninsula. But you'll notice in that cone of uncertainty, the eye of the storm could pass well far to the south of where the actual center of the forecast is, or even here towards the north and east. That could bring it on a path closer to Houston. So southeastern Texas still in play for another landfall with this historic hurricane, Hurricane Beryl. And you can see some of the computer models call for that landfall a little bit closer to southern Texas, and some even curve it out here. Again, it really depends on the strength of the storm. If it's a larger storm, stronger, it can be pushed around by some of the upper level winds. If it's a weaker storm, meaning it's not as strong and it doesn't have the tall thunderstorms with it, then it doesn't get as influenced by the upper level winds. It's the lower level winds that would carry it more off towards the north and west as opposed to making that turn. So again, a lot of question marks as to what could happen with this storm as we head into the weekend, but certainly all eyes are on southeastern Texas, as well as, of course, the Yucatan and the Cayman Islands, and we're, of course, watching areas around Jamaica as well. And in the meantime, one other wave of low pressure, only a 20% chance of development over the next 7 days. So as we take a look at our Atlantic hurricane storm names, we briefly had Chris. That was only around for about 6 hours over the weekend. The next name on the list would be Debbie. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated here on air and online, so keep it tuned right here, and we'll keep you up to date as we go throughout hurricane season.